Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. It is Friday, June 12th, 2020, as we sit just 2 days away from WWE Backlash, which of course is streaming live on the WWE Network this Sunday with the pre-show starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. This, of course, is the official rundown for WWE Backlash 2020. And once again, I am not alone here for the rundown. For the very first time ever, administrator of PWP Nation, fellow New Jersey guy, please help me welcome, for the first time ever on the DJ Storms channel, Mr. Jay Alletto. How are you, my friend?
Fantastic, DJ. How you doing, man?
Oh, my God. We're in month 4 of this pandemic, and I swear to God, I am slowly losing my sanity day by day. I mean, I don't know if it's going to end by the end of the year or the beginning of 2021, but either way, I just need some semblance of normality to come back. I'll be going back to work next week, which is, it's cool and all that. Just regular 4 to 5 hour shifts, nothing too crazy. But at the same point in time, I'm going to have to adjust to wearing a mask at work.
Yeah, man, I'm dreading going back. Right now, it's voluntary for me personally to go back to my place of business. But when I do go back, I want there to be no regulations, man. I want to get back to normal. I'm done with this COVID nonsense. I want to lay it to smack it down on COVID-19 and just put it in the past forever. Just get rid of it forever, man. Enough is enough.
Dude, I'm telling you, February was actually a great month for me, and then all of a sudden in March, just everything just went down the toilet.
Yeah, I hear that, brother.
I don't even know, but you know, like even though we're hyped up, we're gonna try our best, people, to hype up this piss poor card. This card actually looks just as bad as Super Showdown, just as bad as the Elimination Chamber from earlier this year. Realistically speaking, this is like a 2-match show. We have 7 matches to go over. We're going to break down everything to the best of our abilities. But before we get started here, please follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at TheDJStorms. Friend me on Facebook as well. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. It's StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. All the links are in the description. If you missed the rewind for NXT TakeOver in your house, I uploaded that on Monday. The link is in the description. That actually did exceptionally well. That's actually over 30 likes, over 200 views. You guys absolutely killed it. The last 3 videos all peaked 200 views, so I really got to thank you guys for that. If there's one benefit from this pandemic for me personally, it's the brand. It has skyrocketed. We're over 2,000 subscribers. Speaking of that, please like this video. Try and get this video to 30 likes. That's probably going to be the new goal from here on out. You guys have been shattering the goals as of lately, as far as the likes and the views goes. But please hit that like button. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Backlash, and which match are you looking forward to the most? Hit the subscribe button as always. Try and get me to around 2,100, I would say. Probably by the end of the month. I don't think we'll probably get by the end of the month. Maybe by Extreme Rules. And when you subscribe, you gotta hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it's the best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time you're gonna see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination. This beautiful quarantine mustache. And last but not least, Blue Riot Podcast. Shout out to the Blue Riot. Go follow the podcast on Twitter at Blue Riot Pod. Him and me, we are up to episode 10 of AEW Darkamite and the Blue Riot Storms review. You can find Blue Riot Podcast on all platforms where you find your local podcast, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Podbean. The link to the iTunes podcast is in the description, so please go check that out. And Mr. Jay Alletto, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me across the board at my name at Jay Alletto. That's JayAlletto, Jay Alletto, and also at the PWP Nation website. That's PWPNation.com, as well as our social media platforms at PWP Nation as well. And I'd be remiss to not mention my eBay store. I love selling stuff on eBay, so you can check out the PWP Nation eBay store as well.
Excellent. But anyway, enough of the advertisements and the self-brand promotion. We're actually almost at 5 minutes on that. Let's get straight to the matches. So, We had 7 matches on this card. We're actually recording this before SmackDown, so we don't know if there's going to be another match announced. I actually do want to talk about, very, very briefly, I want to talk about the Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, because I don't know why they didn't put this match on the card. Because Backlash, you take a look at Backlash, and there's literally no semblance of importance as far as Backlash goes. You take a look at these other pay-per-views with Money in the Bank, that has the Money in the Bank ladder match. WrestleMania is WrestleMania. You have the Elimination Chamber has the Elimination Chamber. Survivor Series has the 5-on-5 tag team matches. But Backlash has nothing. Backlash has nothing to feed off of, and it doesn't have anything to really hype it up as important. But you have this Intercontinental Championship tournament, and they put the finals on SmackDown just to simply generate some ratings. I really don't understand that. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that before we dive into the matches here at Backlash.
Well, the original concept of Backlash was to be the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. So by the very term of the word Backlash, okay, we just had WrestleMania, our biggest show of the year. Here's the Backlash from WrestleMania. That's what we're going to do. That's the real genesis of this show, and they got away from that after a number of years. So, but you're right, man. There's really nothing that sets this show apart from anything else that happens throughout the year, anything else that's happening in wrestling at all. It's just your run-of-the-mill pay-per-view that has a rich history with a lot of great matches. But when you look at this card, there's not much substance. There's nothing special going on. There's no big gimmick matches outside of the greatest wrestling match ever, which...
I was about to ask, did you know that Edge and Orton has the potential to be the greatest wrestling match ever? I don't know. I just heard this like a couple hours ago, man.
Yeah, I've heard it ad nauseum 1 billion times from every angle.
I just wanted to make sure.
The WWE just pounds this into your head. Like, they started out by saying, like, this will be the greatest wrestling match ever. And then they're like, what could be? And then they're like, possibly, maybe.
It's so cheesy.
Edge and Orton are ripping on it now because they know it's not going to be the greatest.
It's a joke.
Ever.
It's a joke.
There's going to be something about it that stands out that's going to be unique, and I'm not sure what it's going to be. There's going to be something about this match that makes us all, like, our eyes pop out. And I don't know what it's going to be, because it's not going to be like your normal wrestling match. It's going to either be filmed differently, it's going to have some kind of major surprise, a major shock and awe. Something major is going to happen. I'm just not sure what it's going to be.
I have a feeling it could very well be filmed in a warehouse. I did hear that it's supposedly like 30 to 35 minutes, and we'll talk about that more later on. But, I mean, it's almost as long as the WrestleMania match. Hopefully it won't be as bad as the WrestleMania match. But before we talk about the supposed greatest wrestling match ever, let's talk about the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Sasha Banks Bayley defending against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Iconics, the I want to get my ears surgically removed Conics. This match came about when Sasha and Bayley, they won the women's tag team titles a week ago on SmackDown from Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and I'm actually very happy that they did. I wasn't expecting them to, but they did. And now they made this match official on social media. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little apprehensive. I'm getting WrestleMania vibes. I'm getting a strange feeling that they could very well have Sasha and Bayley lose the titles, which they shouldn't. Now, they're having this match on Backlash, and then they're having Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. They're having them face off against the winners of this match. Now, I don't mind the fact that they're having the titles go to NXT and get defended. We could possibly have Sasha and Bayley defend the titles against Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. But at the same point in time, I'm really not a fan of multiple title matches within the course of a week. I like them when they're spread out a bit. Like, two weeks. You could have a title match every 2 weeks. I don't necessarily mind that because at least it's spread out and it gives a little interim break in the middle. But whoever wins this is going to defend the titles immediately against Shotzi and Tegan. And realistically speaking, who's left to defend the titles against afterwards? This is why I'm surprised that they haven't gotten rid of them by now. Now, this is a bathroom break match, but realistically, the entire show's a 3-hour bathroom break. I don't really know. I don't really know who would find enjoyment in this bullshit anyway. But I'm going with Sasha Banks and Bayley to retain. I'm going to toss the ball over to you.
Yeah, same. I'm going to go with Sasha Banks and Bayley because I don't really see there being another option in this case, especially if you're going to already promote a match on NXT. You're not going to promote a match in NXT that's going to feature the Iconics or that's going to feature Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Plus, if you put Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross against Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, that's babyface versus babyface. Nobody really is going to care. It won't make any sense. You have a storyline. Really, the only major storyline for women in the WWE right now is the storyline between Sasha Banks and Bayley. Not taking away from what Charlotte Flair is doing or what Asuka's doing with Nia Jax, which, whatever.
Yeah, let's not dive into that.
Yeah, but that's the big story is Sasha Banks and Bayley. That's really the only storyline that they've been building, that they've had going on for a long time, that has substance. So I believe them with the tag team championships is the right thing to do. Now, to your point, I'm going to counter you here. You said, why don't they get rid of the titles? I have no problem with them having the titles. The problem I have is they've been so half pregnant with them. They've been bringing them into the forefront, then they push them away. Then they bring them back and they push them away. And this has been notorious Vince McMahon behavior for tag team wrestling in general. So it doesn't surprise me that the focus has been on and off these championships. However, the focus is back on them right now with Sasha Banks and Bayley. And I believe, honestly, that they should have a nice long run with these, especially with the lack of challengers to Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship. So I think that has something to do with it as well. So I'm going with Sasha Banks and Bayley, and I have a feeling they're going to have a nice, long, healthy run with these championships.
I was actually shocked that they didn't go with Dana Brooke versus Bayley at Backlash for the title.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, but that shows you right there. Just because you mentioned Dana Brooke, it shows you that there's a lack of depth on the SmackDown Women's roster.
Realistically, outside of Naomi, Sasha, and Bayley, there's no legitimate women on that roster. I mean, I guess we can add Sonya Deville because they've been building up Sonya Deville very, very nicely. And I'm actually loving what they're doing with her. And I could actually see her possibly in the women's title picture, possibly by the beginning of 2021. I just don't like the fact that they're having her in a fucking match with Lacey Evans, and they're having her take a loss to Lacey Evans. Why? Just to possibly set up Mandy and Sonya on the pre-show for Backlash, which they'll probably announce tonight. They'll probably announce tonight based on what's happening. Especially, Sonya Deville already beat Mandy twice. I don't even understand why they're even continuing that.
Yeah, it's that 50-50 booking, dude. 50-50 booking. That's what they go with whenever they don't know what to do. They just say, hey, give her a win, and then give her the win. So it's 50-50. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets pushed. As far as Sonya Deville, yes, she's doing great, but she's not there yet. And plus, she's a heel. You can't really put her up against Bayley right now. So
no, obviously, obviously.
There's nobody there. There's nobody for her to defend against. It's just that simple. Until Sasha is ready to take that title from her, there's nobody else there.
Well, then here's the question that we need to ask right now. You said that you want him to have a nice long reign with the championships. That would mean that we're not going to get this match at SummerSlam. So if that's the case, then when do they lose him, and when does the eventual blow-off match with Sasha Banks winning the championship take place?
I'm so old school, bro, that I would have them hold the titles throughout the summer, build the story, have them drop it sometime in the fall or next winter, build the thing towards WrestleMania. Keep Bayley as the champion. Keep her as the champion. Why not? At this point, she's had such a long run. You don't have Becky Lynch. You don't have, the women from NXT. I don't really see any of them moving up to get a push at any point in the future, especially near future. So just let this thing sit in a freaking crock pot for a while, man. Why not? Wait until there's an audience there. Wait until you can have, 20,000 plus people inside an arena to have that blow-off. Why do it now? Why take arguably your most built-up storyline on all the rosters and just blow it up? That'd be my idea, is to wait till you have some people in that building and have there be an actual payoff.
That's pretty much what I was thinking, but then you have to take into consideration that the feud would be extended all throughout the year into next year, and if we do get a crowd for WrestleMania, how many people are still going to care by that time?
Everybody.
I'm just a little bit skeptical mainly because of the fact that with the track record that WWE has, I don't really trust them to tell that good of a story. I mean, you're right as far as them having a lengthy title run. We'll see what happens, but we're both in the same boat here. Sasha Banks and Bayley retain the championships. We're moving on to Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus, which has undoubtedly been the best-built match going into this show. I think that Sheamus has been very, 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 very good in this new heel role that he's been given. I'm actually glad that he's a singles competitor again, because Sheamus, when he's given the opportunity, he can go. He can actually go. And Jeff Hardy, we all love Jeff Hardy, and we all know how great Jeff Hardy is when he's given the opportunity to shine. He just put on a great match with Cesaro back on Money in the Bank Kickoff. They actually introduced his personal demons into the storyline with Sheamus, which really caught the eye of a lot of individuals, which I don't understand why. Just goes to show you that everyone now is a hypersensitive pussy. But regardless of that, we won't get too much into that. But as far as this match goes, I can only see Jeff Hardy winning. This could probably be the best match of the night. This is one of the two matches that I'm actually looking forward to. Their first match was actually fairly good. It would have been better with the PC talent. I actually think that the PC talent is actually going to add a little bit more depth. I'm not sure if it's live or if it's taped, but regardless, I actually think that it's going to be a fairly decent match. I think Jeff Hardy more likely than not will win. As far as where he goes after this, I don't really know, because this essentially is the blow-off match. Now, I don't necessarily know what else they could have in store for Jeff Hardy, because you can't put him in the Universal title picture, especially since Bray Wyatt is rumored to come back, which I'm going to talk about on the Lightning Flash update tomorrow. Bray Wyatt is rumored to come back, and more likely than not, he's going to beat Strowman. And more likely than not, we're going to have Bray Wyatt as Universal Champion going into the fall. If Jeff Hardy beats Sheamus, which I believe he will, what else is left for him? Because you can't put him in the Universal title picture now. And you know for a fact that they want to put Jeff Hardy in that title picture to keep him happy and give him the absolute world, to keep him from going over to All Elite Wrestling to join his brother Matt. You know that has to be looming in the back of Jeff Hardy's mind. And if he doesn't re-sign, then he's gone.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't see another winner here outside of Jeff Hardy. It's a babyface storyline. I mean, look, he got screwed over by Sheamus. He's been attacked by Sheamus. So the babyface has to go over here. I think it's important to note who wins the Intercontinental Championship, because I think it's obvious that they're trying to bring prestige back to this championship. They're trying to make it another, like a major focus point of the show moving forward. This is the Bruce Pritchard mentality of booking wrestling, because he's in charge of the show now. He believes in the Intercontinental Championship. He thinks that it can regain that prestige it once had.
It can.
Not to take anything away from, definitely. And between Bryan and AJ, whoever's going to win this match, I think it's probably going to be AJ, but that's just me. If AJ wins this match, I could very well see AJ and Jeff Hardy in the future, and that's a match that, look, we've seen it before in TNA, I believe. I don't know if we've seen it on the WWE roster yet. We may have.
We have not.
But I think we have not. There you go. So I think this would be a nice feud for Jeff Hardy after Sheamus. I think Jeff Hardy versus AJ would be cool. Even if Bryan's in the mix too, if you have Jeff Hardy, Bryan, and AJ, maybe like a triple threat type feud. Hell, even a fatal four-way. Throw Sheamus in there, man. You can have an epic fatal four-way if it's AJ or Bryan defending against Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. So I think Jeff Hardy wins, and I personally would see the Intercontinental Championship being in his future as something to move towards. It's something to help build the credentials of that title, and to just keep a focal point on it. It could main event SmackDown those weeks.
You see, I actually thought the same thing before Money in the Bank, because I had the mentality that Bray Wyatt was actually going to beat Braun Strowman, which I'm actually still kind of pissed that he didn't, but I understand why he didn't, because Bray Wyatt needed to go away because, him and JoJo recently just gave birth to their second child, so obviously he needed to stay home with JoJo, help take care of the new kid. I really don't know. It's a possibility. It's a possibility, but as far as Sheamus goes, depending on who wins the Intercontinental title, whether it's Bryan or AJ, can you see Sheamus winning the Intercontinental title by the end of the year?
Sheamus? Sure, man. I don't know what Sheamus' goal is right now, though. I don't know, I could see it happening. He's definitely capable, obviously. He's capable of holding any title on that roster with his credentials and what he's done throughout his career. The fact of the matter remains, though, is Sheamus back for a full-time run? Is he going to be here for the immediate future? Is he going to take some more time off?
I would assume he's here for the immediate future because he has stayed throughout the pandemic tapings.
True. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. He's probably got a good run going for him. But I also think there's an underlying factor where you take a guy like him and you can kind of plug him into any role that you want to. Whether you move him, you could take Sheamus and move him completely out of the storyline with Jeff Hardy and move him back into something with Cesaro, reform the tag team if you wanted to. You could move him anywhere on the card if you wanted to, and he would be relevant and he would make it mean something because he's that damn good. But could I see him be IC champion? Hell yeah, absolutely. 100%. I can see that as a possibility for sure.
Now, if Jeff Hardy wins and he goes into an Intercontinental title feud with either Bryan or AJ, does he win the Intercontinental Championship, or is he another asterisk or pretty much another check mark in a title reign for Daniel Bryan or AJ? Like, who would eventually take the title off of Bryan or AJ? Possibly Matt Riddle?
Maybe, yeah, maybe we forget about him too. I mean, that is a guy that, Matt Riddle could plug right into a feud with Sheamus. Again, it would be a great feud. It would be believable, a good fight between the two. There's a lot, like with Matt Riddle coming to the show, there's a lot of matches that are going to be made, dream matches, different scenarios that are going to help the overall product, and that's exciting. But, at the end of the day, I think that this Intercontinental Championship rivalry with Bryan, with AJ, I think it ultimately will culminate somehow with Sami Zayn's return to try to proclaim that he's the real champion and try to get that title back. And hopefully, in my opinion, it should probably be against Daniel Bryan, because it kind of brings that storyline back to fruition that we had throughout WrestleMania season. But we'll just have to wait and see, man. I like the fact that there's a focus on the IC Championship, and there's something to be said with the roster that is going for it now. You have AJ, you have Bryan, you might have Jeff Hardy, you might have Sheamus, you could have Matt Riddle in that picture. It's going to be a nice little nucleus of talent to fight over the IC Championship.
True. So from here we got the Raw Women's Championship match between Asuka and Nia Jax. And I know, the Iconics and Nia Jax, both in championship matches on a pay-per-view. It's literally like a Nightmare on Elm Street here, but Nia Jax. I don't even understand why she's even getting a Raw Women's Championship opportunity after she lost the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Asuka eventually, she won the briefcase, and she eventually won the championship. I'm still not a fan of that. I hate the fact that they took away the element of surprise with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It was such a lazy move right there. And now you're adding Nia Jax into a championship match when she shouldn't even be on television after what has recently happened with Kairi Sane in 2 separate matches. It pisses me off, dude. It really does piss me off right there. And on top of that, I need to ask a few questions. Where's Ruby Riott? Where's Liv Morgan? Where's Shayna Baszler? And where's Bianca Belair? Why is it that all we see on Raw is Charlotte and Nia Jax? Dude.
Yeah, dude, I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer, man. That's a great question. I think only one man has that answer, and that's Vince McMahon. And maybe Paul Heyman would know the answer to that too. But you're right, man. The focus on Nia Jax is really ridiculous, and I think it just comes down to the fact that she just came back. She's only been back for, a couple of months now? So I think that's another focal point of WWE, what they do, what they've been known to do. When a wrestler comes back, especially a wrestler that has been in, the title picture, like Nia Jax, they put her in a main program.
Like, at the end of the day, the fact that she is being put in this program and she is probably one of, if not the most unsafe wrestler on the roster right now, it's laughable, dude. It really is laughable.
Dude, I used to give Nia Jax so much shit when I used to cover Raw every night after Raw went off the air and on Twitter and whatnot. I used to just give her so much shit. Then, for a little while, and I'll be honest here, you saw her start to improve. I would see little things in her game that would improve here and there. She seemed like she was getting a little bit better ring shape. And she was improving. But then she would always have these massive botches during her matches where she would injure somebody, where she would put somebody in danger even if they didn't come out with an injury, or she would punch Becky Lynch in the face for no reason, or something crazy like that. It just, when's enough, and we all know it's nepotism at this point. Dude, she's The Rock's cousin, who's a part of that Samoan dynasty.
Yeah, she started out decent on the main roster, and then after WrestleMania 33, dude, she regressed. She regressed. Oh, yeah. She just got worse and worse and worse after WrestleMania 33. I don't know what the fuck happened, but she really needs to go back to the P. I'm not going to call for a job. I'm really not going to call for a job, but I said this before. I did a 10-minute rant on Nia Jax a few weeks ago on the Lightning Flash update. First time, accidents happen. Second time, it depends how close the accidents are. Third, fourth, and fifth time, now you just suck at your job. Nia Jax sucks at it. I'm legitimately worried for Asuka. I don't know what's going to happen here, but the only thing that I know, I hope, Asuka retains. Once Asuka retains, I don't know where they go, but I swear to God, if we got to sit through Charlotte Flair versus Asuka after Backlash, dude, I'm like this close. I'm this close. I've said this numerous amounts of times. I'm this close from completely cutting the Raw review out of the Lightning Flash update. And I do this, and I've said this before. I review 6 to 7 weekly shows every single week on the Lightning Flash update. Now it's just 6 because NXT UK, they're not doing any tapings. But I review 6 shows. I'm this close to cutting Raw completely out of the review section of the Lightning Flash update if we see Charlotte Flair in this position against Asuka. The booking of Charlotte Flair, and not to go off on a tangent because I got a lot to say on Charlotte Flair tomorrow on the Lightning Flash update. The fact that we've seen what we've seen with Charlotte Flair ever since the beginning of the year, this is worse. I've said this before as well. This is worse than the Fabulous Moolah with Charlotte Flair. This is worse than what we've seen with Roman.
Yeah, it has to be. Here's my take on it, man. And Triple H, I think, mentioned something like this in a talk he had the other night. It's got to be leading to something bigger. Like, I get it. She's a workhorse. She definitely is a workhorse. She is, obviously robotic, obviously kind of boring and overexposed and whatnot at times. But she's in fantastic condition. She can wrestle. She's gorgeous. And she's a Flair. I mean, those are four things that you can say that Charlotte has going for her. But if there's no ultimate plan here, to be able to be on all 3 shows, defend the NXT Championship across all 3 shows or whatever she's been doing, and can be completely overexposed, if it doesn't lead to something major, like if it doesn't lead to, I don't know, a big swerve, or maybe her trying to challenge for a men's championship, or like
no, dude, don't put that onto the universe. Don't put that out.
It's already out there. It's got to lead.
That's what I'm ranting on tomorrow.
To something. It's got to lead to something. It's got to lead. That's all I'm going to say about it is, if it's not leading to anything, if this little run, if there's no payoff to this little run, then it's absolutely positively ridiculous. Until then, I'm just going to wait until there's.
There hasn't been a payoff, dude. The payoff should have been her putting Rhea Ripley over at WrestleMania. The fact of the matter is. Yeah, the fact of the matter is that, and I was actually questioning whether Triple H actually means this, or if he's doing that because Vince McMahon is keeping a watchful eye on him. Because let me tell you something. He said in an interview that it was Vince's decision to have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. It was Vince's decision to have Charlotte beat Rhea. And you know why? It's because of the simple fact that he thought that Charlotte Flair was going to draw ratings to beat out All Elite Wrestling on Wednesday nights. And that didn't happen. So you know for a fact that when Triple H, when he was booking Charlotte Flair on NXT, did you think that Vince wasn't watching Triple H like a hawk? Of course Rhea Ripley took the pin. Of course Rhea Ripley took the pin at TakeOver in Your House. Because Vince McMahon was watching him. Triple H, at this rate, he's just saying everything that Vince McMahon wants him to say. It's exactly what CM Punk said all the way back in 2011. The douchebag yes-men mentality. And that's exactly what Triple H has become at this rate, because that's all he can do. Not even he can sway this maniacal old man's thoughts.
Yeah, when you have a boss, unfortunately, you just have to abide by their rules. They're the ones that have the last say, and eventually that's gonna change. Eventually, it's just it could be another 20 years. It could be another 20 years.
Dude, the guy's gonna be living till he's 100, sipping his meals through a straw, and he's still gonna be running this fucking company.
He's still gonna be working out at 4 a.m. too, man. He's such a monster. I respect Vince for his work ethic more than anything. Like, I know he's a scumbag and stuff.
He's a good businessman. He's a good businessman, but creative mind, he sucks.
Yeah, he used to be great. I mean, that's the thing. Is like, even back in the day, people have talked about this. He would throw out all these crazy ideas, and then there'd be one shred of brilliance in those 10 crazy ideas. And that shred of brilliance would be like the Mega Powers exploding, or like something huge like that happened in WWF. So he's had tons of great ideas, and he's been able to cultivate the masses to embrace the brand for all these years. But like, there comes a point in time where your old man brain just kind of falls by the wayside. It just fails you.
But we did enough ranting on that. Prediction on the match.
What's the match again?
It's Asuka versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's title.
No.
See, like, we got so much. We got so much into Vince and Flair that we forgot what the match was. It's Asuka and Nia. This is why I wrote it down.
Yeah, that's easy, man. That's Asuka all day, because you're just based off the fact that you're not going to take the title off her as soon as she got it. You're not going to do that. and you don't want to put it on Nia Jax because Nia Jax sucks, and everybody knows she sucks. And what do you do at that point? You put it on Nia Jax, then what do you do? So it's got to be Asuka.
So moving on to the Universal Championship match, it's Braun Strowman versus The Miz and John Morrison, 2-on-1 handicap match. And yeah, you heard that correctly. Look, again, like I stated earlier on in the video, I understand that Bray Wyatt, he needed to go away because JoJo was giving birth to a kid. He needed to stay by JoJo, take care of his second kid. I understand that. I get that. No problem. But out of everyone, you put The Miz and John Morrison, who have only won one match in the last 2 months. They've only won one match in the last 2 months, and you're putting these guys in a Universal Championship match? I mean, it just goes to show you how shitty the upper mid-card to main event scene on SmackDown really is. You got King Corbin in every other segment. Braun Strowman is Universal Champion. Who else do you have if you got all the top-tier talent like Sheamus and Hardy and Drew Gulak and AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, and they're all floating around in the Intercontinental Championship title picture? It's honestly reminded me of 2017 SmackDown when we had Jinder Mahal as the WWE Champion. It's not as bad as Jinder Mahal, but still bad.
Dude, I actually really like Jinder Mahal, man. I'm a Jinder Mahal fan. But
I
anyway,
used to be.
We're not talking about him.
No, I used to be. No. I got to talk about it for 1 second. I used to be because it was something new. It was something fresh. It was something innovative. But the guy can't fucking wrestle for shit. And he used the same.
He's not a wrestler. He's an 80s heel wrestler. Like, he would have been great during the 80s when Hogan needed, like, heels to just destroy.
He's a roid head.
Perfect for that. Okay, there you go. Back to this match, though. I think Braun Strowman easily, without question, wins this. And this brings me back to Sheamus. Like, we just talked about Sheamus before. Let's go back to him real quick. We could see very well Sheamus be the next challenger for the title if it's not Bray Wyatt. If Bray Wyatt's not coming back immediately, which I think he is, Sheamus is a perfect plug and play there. So there's no doubt in my mind you're not going to put the belt on Miz and Morrison. Even though I thought that thing with the car, the hidden camera with the car in SmackDown last week, when they were in the van and they were acting all goofy and stuff, I thought that was.
I hated that.
I enjoyed it, bro. I had no problem with it just based on the fact that they did something a little outside the box. Because what else are they going to do? They already had Strowman kick these guys' asses.
Cancel the match? That's an idea.
Yeah, well, okay, all right. But if you decide to go, like when you're booking wrestling and you decide to take a path, a lot of times you just have to go with it. So they're obviously going with it. I think Strowman's going to kill them both. It's going to be easy as 1, 2, 3. And then you're probably right. You're probably going to see Bray Wyatt shortly thereafter.
Listen, I have no problem with them going outside the box. But at the same point in time, dude, this is supposed to be a World Championship title program on Fox, which is a sports-driven network. And you're having one 30-year-old and one 40-year-old. Yeah, John Morrison's like 42. Shocking. Like, I would actually want to, like, sidetrack here. I actually want to be in as good a shape as Morrison at 42 when I'm 42. But you have a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old in a van, Spy Kids, Nickelodeon type shit, and you're having them bash the guy's car, slime Kayla Braxton, and put, like baking soda and vinegar in a water bottle and making that explode? And this is supposed to be a world title program?
I got one name for you, brother, and that's Bruce
Pritchard.
Man, that's
Brother Love.
That reeks like Bruce Pritchard. That reeks of Bruce Pritchard all day. I don't have a problem with it because, again, I'm old school, man. I like that kind of corny 80s stuff when they do something that's outside the box and different. So I had no problem with that in particular. But, yeah, no, I get your gripe with it for sure. I understand. Yeah.
And, you did mention something about Sheamus before we move on to the next match. Here's what I want to know. Instead of pitting Sheamus and Hardy and killing one guy's momentum just to build up Jeff Hardy, you could have put Sheamus as an interim opponent for Braun Strowman while Bray Wyatt was dealing with his kid. That actually would have been a much better scenario. And who knows? We could have actually gotten a fairly decent, hard-hitting match between Sheamus and Braun Strowman. Even though Braun Strowman's terrible, Braun Strowman can't wrestle for shit. But regardless, Sheamus could have actually brought a decent match out of Braun Strowman. And I am a very negative. I'm a negative douchebag when it comes to what I do on YouTube. I've been that way for like 3 years now. But I do have small semblances of hope. And I would have liked to hope that Sheamus would have probably given Braun Strowman a decent match. But instead you put two guys who've only gotten one win over the course of the last 65 days. And here we are. I can't even decide which is going to be worse. This match or the women's tag team title match. Braun Strowman wins.
100%.
Next match. The second match I'm looking forward to is Apollo Crews versus Andrade for the United States Championship. Very happy for Apollo Crews. So happy he's finally starting to get his due. Apollo Crews is definitely someone you can build a fucking brand around. He's way too good not to have a championship. As far as Andrade goes, Andrade, I mean, what can I say about Andrade? He has been treated like jack shit, even with his United States Championship reign. Part of it was his fault because he fucked up, he violated the wellness policy. Another part was WWE's fault with his shitty booking after he returned from injury. And obviously the injury, you can't really do too much about the injury. People get injured, it happens. And now he lost the title to Apollo Crews. Now he's facing off against Apollo Crews, and now he's going to lose. It's going to take a long time to build up Andrade from where he was. To be quite honest with you, I can't see Andrade winning this. I hope to see Apollo Crews retain. I expect this to probably be the best match of the night alongside Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. And as far as where Andrade goes from here, you know, I definitely wouldn't break up Angel Garza and Andrade this early. It's a possibility that they could, and they could do Angel Garza versus Andrade afterwards, leading up into the pay-per-view before SummerSlam. But if anything, I would put Andrade and Angel Garza in the tag team division because Raw, they're in desperate need of some tag teams. Look, you got the Street Profits, you got Viking Raiders, you got Cedric and Ricochet, you got Theory and Murphy, and you're going to have Garza and Andrade in there. And then you could add a few more people whenever you want to. I don't know, probably get Tozawa and someone else in there. But regardless, you could actually start to build up an actual tag team division, not with this decathlon, bowling, mini golf shit that we're seeing with the Street Profits. I don't even take any notes. I don't even take any notes on those segments when I do the Monday Night Raw section. I do not take any notes on those segments, but that's something that I would definitely do for Andrade and Angel Garza. I think that they would benefit them really, really well. If they want to break them up afterwards, I could definitely see Angel Garza being the one to take the title off Apollo Crews, probably at SummerSlam, possibly at Clash of Champions sometime in the fall, but I expect Apollo Crews to retain here. I would like to hear your expertise analysis, Mr. Alletto.
Yeah, dude. You know what? You kind of hit the nail on the head. Apollo Crews has to win this match. I don't think there's any other... kind of like Asuka, the same situation. We have a new champion here. If you have this champion lose, then you're stuck in a conundrum. What do you do next? You put the title back on Andrade, now what? I think it's clear that Andrade is kind of suffering from a little bit of, I'm going to say, punishment in a way, because he's been featured, but how many ass kickings and how many times has he been beat up on Raw?
Dude, he took a Claymore from McIntyre every other week for like 2 months.
Bingo. So it's like, I think he's still suffering from some kind of punishment for his very strange wellness violation or whatever happened. So I definitely see Apollo Crews winning. As far as Andrade and Angel Garza, I love your idea of putting them in the tag division. I didn't really think about that at all until you just started talking about it. And I think that's a great way to get them into that division, to not only have a litany of new matches, but the quality of the matches will go up significantly, whether they're wrestling the Viking Raiders or the Street Profits or whoever else is even in that division. I think there was a couple other jabronis.
Cedric and Ricochet. Yes, Theory and Murphy.
Theory Murphy, and then there's two more jabronis that have been on Raw recently. What the hell are their names?
Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink.
Bingo. There you go. Those jobber guys. So you can have. So now you have levels of talent in that division. You've built up a bunch of tag teams, and again, you're stuck in the situation where Vince McMahon does not like tag team wrestling. So you have the field. You have a bunch of tag teams. Throw Angel Garza and Andrade in there. You have new contenders for the tag titles. Maybe it could be a revival, no pun intended, to the tag team division. So yeah, I like it, and I think there's no other option here.
You're gonna get heat for that, dude. You're gonna get heat for that revival line, dude.
No big deal, whatever. But yeah, dude, I think there's no other question there. It's going to be Apollo Crews, and I think he should have a nice long title reign. Why not at this point? You don't have, like, what does he do now? Here's the problem I have with these kind of scenarios. Apollo Crews wins, right? What's next? that's the question mark there. What's next? Who's in line to go after
Owens?
the U.S. Championship on that show?
Owens?
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess babyface versus babyface, I guess.
You know, that really doesn't matter at this rate. Like, if it's heel versus heel, that's something different. But babyface versus babyface, if you have two wrestlers that can wrestle their fucking ass off, in which case Apollo Crews and Owens can, and that match on Raw is actually starting to get really good. That match on Raw is actually starting to get really good between Owens and Crews. Yeah. It's matches like that. It's matches like that that's going to make the United States Championship feel that much more important. And if they want to do Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews, possibly at the end of the month, that would definitely help the overall state of the United States Championship, because matches like that, that's going to make people want to see Apollo Crews defend the title more. I'm actually shocked that they didn't go with Apollo Crews defending the title on a weekly basis, but I have a feeling they could very well do that with Daniel Bryan in the Intercontinental Championship, should he win. But Apollo Crews, if you want to keep Apollo Crews and his United States Championship reign up there as a thing that's going to make people watch Monday Night Raw, because it has the potential to be. Apollo Crews, realistically by now, he should have realistically been a multi-time U.S. champion, a multi-time Intercontinental champion. I'm shocked that he's not.
Sure.
And you know, whether it's because Vince finally warmed up to him, or because, you know, they're repaying him for sticking around during the PC tapings, I'm probably going with the latter. Regardless of that, now he's finally in a position where he can succeed. So, if anything, keep the momentum going, have him face Owens. Afterwards, then it really starts to get into a question mark. I don't know where they're going to have him go as far as defending the title. They could do R-Truth. You know, R-Truth, let me tell you something. Outside of this comedy bullshit, which is terrible with R-Truth is in great shape for 46, and he can still wrestle. He can put on a decent match when you give him the opportunity to. And that's one thing that I hate about R-Truth's presentation, because he's goofy and he's funny and he genuinely makes people laugh. But at the same point in time, this guy's actually a damn good wrestler who can put on great matches when you give him the opportunity to. And if they wanted to, they could put him against a guy like Apollo Crews and have him put on a decent match for the United States Championship. That's what's going to make the title feel that much more important.
Oh, I agree 100%, man. Yeah, R-Truth has it, man. He's just stuck in that 24/7 title, you know, reign type deal. And I think whatever the case may be with his future, that is really his bread and butter right now. If they decide to keep that title going, he's not going to be away from that thing.
They gotta end it, dude.
Ever.
They really gotta end it.
Away from that thing. As long as that thing exists, he's going to be the guy in that division, because he's so funny. He's funny. He's not, like, I know you said it's terrible and stuff, and I get that.
No, like, he's funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's probably one of the only genuinely funny guys employed by the company. It's him and Otis. That's it.
Yeah, that's about right.
So,
you know who's actually funny? Is Kevin Owens, but they don't really.
No. He's like unintentionally funny. Like, when he's on the microphone, when he's on the microphone and he's doing his shtick, whenever he talks and whenever he's in the ring in a major program, whenever he's sarcastic, he's unintentionally funny. He definitely doesn't get enough credit that he deserves. I remember his line with Rollins when Rollins was trying to apologize, and, you know, there's something that I smelt, and that scent was bullshit. That was actually very funny. That was funny. So we got to give Owens credit there. But yeah, Apollo Crews, we could see retaining the United States Championship here at Backlash. Edge versus Randy Orton. And did you know, Jay Alletto, that this match could quite possibly be the greatest wrestling match ever?
Yeah, I did know that, because I've been told it ad nauseum a billion times. And here's the fucking problem. Can we curse here? We can curse.
Yes,
right?
Of course. Okay. You can do whatever the fuck we want.
Here's the fucking problem with it, man, is the fact that it won't be the greatest wrestling match ever.
That's number one.
Secondly, what the fuck are they using the word wrestling for all of a sudden in this context? Like, they've done everything they could to just, like, alienate the word wrestling for decades. They don't want that.
They have 10-minute promos on Monday Night Raw every week. On a wrestling show every week. It's a 10-minute promo. You think we would start off with a wrestling match on a wrestling program? No.
You would think, but they've alienated this word wrestling. They've not embraced it forever, and all of a sudden now it's back in all its glory for Randy Orton and fucking Edge. I get it. I understand what they're trying to go for with the wrestling match angle, but to put this behind it is fucking stupid, man.
I have no problem. Yeah, here's the thing. I would have no problem with this match or this feud, because the promo battle between the two every single time that they have been on the show, it's been exceptional. It's been fantastic. It's been spectacular. But the fact of the matter is that their first match was such a disappointment. First off, that went 40 minutes when it should have only gone 20 minutes. They didn't even get creative. Like, literally, 75% of that match was just them throwing each other into the walls of the different rooms that they were in. That's number one. The match was disappointing. The match sucked. And then on top of that, now you're shoving the cheesiest tagline that you could possibly shove down everyone's throats to try and sell a match between Orton and Edge because Orton wants to prove that he's the better wrestler. That's fine and all that. But those two flaws, and they're two major flaws, they're two big blemishes on the face that is supposed to be a model-type face, and there's two big-ass pimples, one being the disappointment of a match, the other being the greatest wrestling match ever, and now people aren't going to give a shit, whether it's cinematic or not. And you know what? It could be great. It could be great. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to give this a chance, and because most of the cinematic matches have been fairly decent. Dream versus Cole was actually a little disappointing until the end, but regardless, I give the cinematic matches a chance, and I'm going to see how it plays out before I ultimately shit on it. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter what takes place, it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. We all know what the greatest wrestling match ever really was. Taker Michaels at Mania 25.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on both counts, man. But I do think something's going to happen here. I think they have to do something here, and they have something ready to go. What it's going to be, I don't know. That's anyone's best guess. But I am excited for it. I think the fact that they went on this limb and said the greatest wrestling match ever, it does hold value in my mind as a diehard wrestling fan. And their whole point of doing this is to grab that fan who might not really watch anymore, to grab that guy who used to watch Raw every Monday night and now doesn't, and maybe they get him somehow, like on the computer, like some kind of ad that says the greatest wrestling match ever, you know, Edge and Randy Orton, two wrestlers that he might be familiar with. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just simply marketing, and that's it. But they have to deliver. They have to deliver. I have no doubt they will, because these are two of the all-time great professional wrestlers in the history of the WWE. So I think they will deliver. Will it underachieve?
Yes.
Maybe. It might completely
You're putting the expectations way too high. I don't mind marketing, but there's a fine line between marketing and realism. This is not realistic.
Yeah, it won't be the greatest wrestling match ever, but I think it will. I think it will be fun. I think something's going to happen. There's going to be some kind of swerve, some kind of angle has to come out of this. Whether it could be Edge's next feud, it could be Edge's next opponent. Because what's next for this guy?
I said that Edge should have been the one to challenge Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. I don't know about you, but I would say if you beat a guy like Orton, who's a 14-time world or 13-time world champion, U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, Tag Team champion, Money in the Bank winner, won the Royal Rumble. He's done it all. So, if you beat a guy like Orton, why wouldn't you be in the WWE Championship title hunt? If anything, you could have Drew McIntyre versus Edge, possibly either at Extreme Rules or SummerSlam. Because Edge, I'm calling to win this. Edge is going to win this. He beats Orton for the second time. That's it. It's over. Feud realistically should have been over after WrestleMania, but now it's the final nail in the coffin. The feud's going to be over after this. Why not give Drew McIntyre Edge? Edge is not going to win the WWE title, but Drew McIntyre could actually benefit from a match with Edge. Beating Edge, that would enhance his WWE Championship reign. And, you know, we're actually going to talk about the WWE Championship match next, but when it comes to challengers for championships, the one thing that really makes or breaks a championship reign is the challengers that you put forth and the way that you portray the champion. Because I've said before, and this is one reason why I didn't like Sami Zayn as Intercontinental Champion. I love Sami Zayn. I think that was well overdue. But they gave him the title in the most least impactful way. And on top of that, the guy is a chicken shit heel. And a character like that, while he may play it well, a character like that devalues the championship. A championship should not be on a character that's not going to put forth any legitimacy. And Sami Zayn, especially in that horrible match with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, he wasn't bringing any legitimacy to the championship. And that's the main issue. Drew McIntyre, on the other hand, he's been bringing nothing but legitimacy to the championship. So now it's on WWE to put forth credible challengers to give him great matches and great title defenses, which is ultimately going to make his championship reign something memorable. And with Edge, that I would say that was a pretty damn good match to me. That's actually a dream match to many people.
Sure, man. And you know what? I'm going to actually disagree with you here for the first time. I think Randy Orton wins this match just because they love 50-50 booking and they don't want Orton to lose 2 big matches in a row. And I would actually take that same scenario that you mentioned where Drew McIntyre faces Edge next. I think he probably faces Randy Orton next. And Randy Orton continues this whole, he'll probably bring up Drew McIntyre's past, 3-man band, all that good stuff. And that'll be the basis of this feud. Because from what I gathered is that Drew McIntyre was going to head into some kind of angle with Jinder Mahal somehow, whether they were going to be allies or whether they're going to be oppositions. I believe they were going to be allies.
Yeah, true.
From what I understand. But I do think this goes, because that's not going to happen, whatever direction that was going to take, because Mahal's out again for another year with knee surgery or something. I feel like Randy Orton's going to need something big, something major after Edge. And look, you could be right. Edge could win. Edge could go 2-0 over Randy Orton. I just don't see it happening. I think there's a novelty factor with Edge where he can lose this match and disappear for 2 months and then come back in time for SummerSlam and still have something big to do. What that's going to be, anyone's guess at this point. I can't predict that far in the future with the state of the WWE right now, but I do think that Edge is going to be one of those 3, maybe 4 matches a year kind of guys. I don't think he's going to wrestle at Extreme Rules. I think the next time we'll see him is probably SummerSlam.
So then, if that's the case, then we'll probably see Orton go over. If he does go over, then Orton goes over, and we see Orton versus McIntyre at Extreme Rules, and then we see Edge versus McIntyre at SummerSlam.
Maybe, possibly. That's possible. I always have this gut feeling, though, that there's one of those legends that's just looming, lurking in the background that's going to come back and do something, like Goldberg or some shit, or Undertaker might get involved, or something like that. That's going to throw a monkey wrench into Edge's angle.
Dude, don't put that out in the universe, man. Don't put that. Stop doing that. Stop. Screw you, Jay. But so he's going to go with Orton. I'm actually going with Edge here to win the greatest wrestling match ever, or the supposed greatest wrestling match ever. So we got the main event. Drew McIntyre, or what I think should be the main event, because it's the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. I don't necessarily know what to say about that. I thought it should have been Edge, to be quite honest with you, because if Edge was competing at Backlash, you were better off putting him. You were better off putting him against Drew McIntyre and sparing us Bobby Lashley, especially considering the fact that, does anyone really take Bobby Lashley seriously after everything that they've done with him over the course of the last 2 years? What has he done of value, and what has he done over the course of the last 2 years since he returned after WrestleMania 34 that has made anyone believe that he's actually a credible challenger to the WWE Championship, outside of a semi-decent match with Roman at Extreme Rules? What has he done? Then he had the partnership with Lio Rush. Lio Rush was always the star out of that group. He had 2 meaningless reigns as Intercontinental Champion. And then he was thrusted into a storyline with Rusev, Lana, and Liv Morgan, which resulted in one of the worst Raw segments in the history of the company with that wedding. And now he beat R-Truth and a couple of jobbers after he lost to Aleister Black at WrestleMania. I know, shocking. Yes, I have a great memory, but unless you got a great memory like me, you probably want to forget all that other shit. Now he's in a WWE Championship match with Drew McIntyre. Now, does it have the potential to be decent? Probably. You know, to be quite honest, I hope it is. I actually hope Drew McIntyre does bring Bobby Lashley to a decent match. I actually hope that Drew McIntyre actually brings Bobby Lashley to a good hoss fight. I actually think it could be fairly decent. I actually think it could be hard-hitting. It could be intense if they allow them to go out there and do what they do, fight. But do I have any faith based on the track record? Absolutely not. Especially the track record with Bobby Lashley. Now, we'll see what happens, but I can't see this ending any other way outside of Drew McIntyre retaining. There's no reason for Bobby Lashley to win the championship. Now, Bobby Lashley, there's been rumors going around that he could win the championship because they want to set up a program with Lesnar. And to that, I'm questioning why, because a program between Lashley and Lesnar, why does it need the championship? Why does Lesnar constantly need to be in a world championship match at every single major pay-per-view? Lesnar is not a draw like he used to be. No one's a singular draw. John Cena has come out and said there's no such thing as a singular draw anymore. There's no such thing as one guy or two guys. It's about the overall quality of the entire show that's going to get people to watch. That's why the ratings are under 2 million right now, because the overall show sucks. As far as Bobby Lashley goes, I don't mind him going up against Lesnar. That's probably the only other thing. That's probably the only other thing outside of a semi-decent match with Drew McIntyre that you could possibly do with Lashley that's going to generate any sort of interest. But at the same point in time, it doesn't need the championship. So I would just have Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar go up against each other at SummerSlam. But even then, I don't even think Brock Lesnar's going to make it to SummerSlam because he doesn't want to work the PC tapings in front of no one but the PC recruits. Regardless, I'm going with Drew McIntyre. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, dude, similar thoughts to you here, man. You summed it up pretty well because I was going to touch on the Brock Lesnar thing too. I think you're right. It does not need the title. It's a match that a lot of people have wanted to see for many years, and I was a proponent for them to actually do that inside the octagon. I would have loved to see them actually fight in the UFC, Brock and Lashley.
Yeah.
That would have drew mega numbers. Everybody would have made a fucking fortune on that. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that Drew McIntyre must win this match. He's stepped up huge since he's gotten the title, especially during these trying times. He's stepped up huge, and he's really forging himself ahead as a main player for years to come. And that's awesome because we've kind of seen his story over getting fired from WWE, develop on the indie scene, into Impact. He's been all over the place, and he's built up his brand to get to this point. So I like McIntyre here. Lashley, they're in rehab mode with Lashley, bro. They're in rehab mode, and they don't have time to have him go up through the ranks again and kind of build up his credibility. So they just kind of hot-shotted him as a challenger to McIntyre. And it's also a lack of challengers. You don't really have any challengers for the guy.
You actually do, to be quite honest with you, with Owens recently coming back. He actually beat Seth Rollins, and they gave Seth Rollins a championship match. Owens is back, so they could have had Owens. They could have had Edge because he did beat Orton. So you do have the challengers. Samoa Joe, whenever he comes back, you could have Samoa Joe go up against Drew McIntyre. You got the challengers. The problem is, and some of them do have momentum behind them. Owens had momentum behind them, and Edge had momentum behind them. Orton didn't. If Orton wins this match with Edge, he could very well go off and challenge Drew McIntyre. But Lashley, he's got no momentum behind him. He's got no credibility. And I understand if you want to be in a rehab mode, but at the same point in time, where is the legitimacy? Where's the credibility? Where's the belief?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll go back to baby faces again, man. You're not gonna put babyface up against McIntyre this early in his run, just based off the fact that he's being built as the top babyface. You need to have heels. It's the WWE formula forever. You line up the heels and you have the babyface champion knock them down. They've done it time and time and time again. It's a tried and true tradition. Hogan did it. Austin did it. Cena did it.
It's really an outdated concept if you look at it. It really is outdated.
It's Vince. It's outdated. You're right. I won't deny that. It's outdated. But you're looking at a guy named Vince McMahon who is super outdated and stuck in his ways, and that's the formula, and that's what he's sticking to. But again, I think Drew McIntyre wins this match, and I think there's a possibility that in the future we will see Brock. Brock will come back. I mean, it's SummerSlam time. He wants that paycheck. He's got to put his kids through college. He's all about legacy and making money. He's going to come back and he's going to wrestle. I think him and Lashley is the most plausible scenario here. I really do.
How much of a paycheck do you think he'll actually be getting? Because you can imagine that. You can imagine that with what's going on right now, and especially since they had to cut all those individuals about 2 months ago. How much of a paycheck do you think he really be getting versus everyone else? He's not going to get that major paycheck.
He'll get a massive paycheck.
They have the money for it because their ratings, they're tanking.
Doesn't matter. That's not how they get paid. They already got paid from the network. They're getting paid from the network no matter what. The only way they're not getting paid by the network is if they get canceled. And they're not getting canceled. There's 3 hours of live television that draws over 1 million viewers every single week. That's rare in today's entertainment aspect on television. So they're not getting canceled. They already have their money from the network. they're getting this WWE Network money is insane. People don't realize. You look at if you have over 1 million WWE Network subscribers, that's $10 million a month to pretty much just show people historical footage. Okay, so 1 million subscribers is $10 million per month. And then you take into all the licensing they have, all the obviously TV deals like we mentioned. The only thing that's missing right now is the live attendance. That's really their only thing that's missing. Those merch sales from live gates and that live.
Well, merch sales are a small percentage anyway. The main chunk of their money comes from the television deals and the live audience and their sponsorships. Because obviously everyone wants to sponsor a global wide company.
Of course. So there you go. You're missing out on that live gate revenue, and that's it. And they're gonna bring back Brock. Like, there's no doubt. And they're gonna pay him his money. They're gonna give him what he usually gets. I'm sure of it. They're not gonna give him a pay cut. They'll cut pay elsewhere. They'll fire some more wrestlers or something if they need to. But I don't think they're in any financial trouble whatsoever. That company has loads of cash. If you look at the numbers, their cash is gigantic. So I think Brock comes back, wrestles Lashley, Drew McIntyre retains the title, and continues to hold it throughout the summer and has a major defense at SummerSlam. And if it's Edge, that's great. That's very possible. That could be a gigantic match. They're
going to have to. Like, you need a match like that. So, like, now I pitched Aleister Black versus Drew McIntyre because Black, he needs a payoff. He needs a payoff because of everything that he's been put through. The guy, look at the names that the guy has beaten. Shelton Benjamin, Akira Tozawa, Cesaro, Buddy Murphy, Sami Zayn. He's beaten AJ Styles. He's beaten Seth Rollins. He's beaten Austin Theory. He's beaten everyone there is to beat. The guy's been winning and winning and winning, and there's no payoff. The fact that he didn't win Money in the Bank is probably one of the worst creative decisions that they've done, right next to giving Charlotte Flair the NXT Women's Championship, but we already ranted on that. But now you have Aleister Black. If you want to, I definitely wouldn't mind Aleister Black defeating Drew McIntyre for the WWE title, possibly by next year's WrestleMania. That's probably the best possible route that you can go. Aleister Black wins the Royal Rumble, he faces off against Drew McIntyre, and Aleister Black finally gets his due. That's what you have to be building towards. There's literally nothing else that you can do. The guy has developed a resume of victories big enough to warrant a world title reign, never mind the measly United States Championship title reign. That's why I and a lot of people predicted him to win Money in the Bank.
Oh, I like it. I love that idea. He can deliver, man. We've seen him deliver in NXT as NXT champion. And most of the time when you're an NXT champion and you deliver that way, you're going to have main roster success with a singles title, whether it's the main belt or the Intercontinental United States title, that level, whatever the case may be. He'll have his shot. He'll have his title reigns. He'll have his opportunities. Right now, I think it all depends on when they can get the fans back in the arena, because they got to gauge that live attendance reaction. The guy like Aleister Black getting pushed up the card like that, and as they do build him, and as they do get to that point where people are back in the building, and with the work they're doing right now in television, I think they'll get to that point where your prediction may come to fruition. Like, maybe he's the guy to win the Royal Rumble. You know, who knows?
He's gonna have to at this rate. Like, there's literally nothing else for him to do. They missed the boat. It's either they give him a title match at SummerSlam and they put the title on him at SummerSlam, or he wins the Rumble and faces Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And I'm going with the latter, because you're not going to take the title off.
I don't think they missed the boat, though. I think we're still super early into Aleister Black's run, and super early, like we are.
Dude, how many victories does he need in order to get a title opportunity? By the end of 2019, he should have been fighting for the United States Championship, and they missed the boat there. By WrestleMania,
I'm with you.
By WrestleMania, he should have been United States Champion because of the simple fact that he was already at that point. They didn't do that. Now they had to give him the Money in the Bank briefcase. You missed the opportunity with the U.S. title in Andrade, and you gave that to Apollo Crews, which I'm not really complaining about it too much, but where does Aleister Black go? Now they had to give him the Money in the Bank briefcase, and you had to build that storyline. You gave it to fucking Otis. Now, I love Otis, but at the same point in time, he's not going to go anywhere with that briefcase. Mandy's probably going to cost him.
Probably, yeah. They don't have a tried-and-true formula when it comes to wins and losses, man. They never have. I doubt they ever will. So
that's why I can't stand this place, man. That's why I'm on the verge of having an aneurysm every time I talk about them.
At least AEW tries, man. I'll give AEW
At least they
that.
try.
They try to have a win-loss record that makes sense, that, you know, where wins and losses matter, where they affect the rankings. Where Jim Ross can simply say something like, both of these wrestlers need a win. and that holds value. Yeah. Whereas if you say that on Raw, if Samoa Joe says that, nobody's going to give a shit because we know it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And people were questioning why the Natural Nightmares are getting a tag team title opportunity. They're undefeated. They're ranked number 2. They're like 6-0. Why not give them a tag team title match? They're 6-0.
Yep. Bingo. There you go.
But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rundown. I'd like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Check out all the links in the description. Like, comment, and subscribe. Jay Alletto, thank you very much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. It was a great time. You have a very informative mind. You have a very analytical mind, and that's exactly why I wanted you on, because I could definitely tell, just by the way that you formulate words, especially on Twitter, and you talk about wrestling, I could definitely tell that you have that analytical mind and you have that informative mentality. And it's been a real pleasure, man. Great rundown, even though it's a shitty pay-per-view, great rundown.
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure. And dude, look, I've been doing this for over 10 years, analyzing wrestling and talking about wrestling on the internet and in other forums, and I'm only getting started, man. That's the thing, is I've only just started, and I've been real part-time over the past couple of years, but that content flow is going to just continue to grow. I've been really focused on my eBay store. Once again, you can check it out, PWP Nation shop on eBay. Lots of stuff over there, cheap stuff, expensive stuff, a lot of cool shit. So check it out over there, and also PWPNation.com. Thousands of articles, millions of views, tons of audio, video content, original content, evergreen stuff that's been around forever that you can always go back and check out. Lots of information there at PWPNation.com. And as always, hit me up on social media, man. I'll talk to anyone. Jump in my DMs. Hit me up. Talk to me about whatever you want to talk about, man. I've got a lot of stuff going on. And I'm also in the infancy of starting a new YouTube channel, which is going to be titled Alletto Brand. It's going to be a focus on my last name, Alletto Brand. Simple. And it's going to be not just about wrestling. It's going to be about wrestling, but it's going to be about my eBay store. It's going to be about sales.
I'll be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe when it's up and running. I haven't even started it yet, but I'm getting all my shit together now to try to get that rock and rolling. But again, for now, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, on TikTok, all those.
Oh my God, you're on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, brother.
Dude, that's evil.
I wasn't really TikToking like a normal TikToker. I started out just posting wrestling clips, and a couple went viral, and before you know it, I had like 5,000 followers or something. And then I did a few like wrestling-esque TikToks where like I would, like do voiceovers of like a Randy Savage promo, oh yeah, or something, and I get good reactions. It's actually fun, bro. It's actually fun. I don't dance and shit. I don't do any of that stuff.
I was about to say, you were scaring me there.
No dancing here, brother. But dude, I'm telling you, if you're personal branding, if you're doing that, man, TikTok, you don't want to miss TikTok, because you can actually go viral pretty easily on TikTok.
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. Be sure to hit up all the links in the description. He's Jay Alletto. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rundown. I'll see you tomorrow for the Lightning Flash update, and I'll see you on Sunday for Backlash.